You're listening to the Hockey Podcast Network. New shows every day. Find us at thehockeypodcastnetwork.com or wherever you get your podcasts from.
DraftKings Sportsbook is not only my favorite sportsbook, but also America's top-rated sportsbook. America! I love using DraftKings Sportsbook. Go ahead and ask me. I do. It is easy to navigate. It has plenty of instructions for new bettors.
Mike, do you love using the DraftKings Sportsbook?
Glad you asked. I sure do. Matt, you know what I love the most? It has plenty of instructions for new bettors and nearly limitless ways to get in on all the action you could ever dream of. You know, my friends and family and neighbors. Howdy, neighbor. Don't forget to go on your DraftKings Sportsbook app tonight. Well, he sure did. They've been loving DraftKings Sportsbook, and I know you will too. Listen to this great offer. DraftKings Sportsbook is putting you courtside with a chance to turn $1 into $1 times 100 in site credits. That's right. Pick any basketball team still in contention. Bet $1, and if that team wins, you get $100 in site credits. Can I say all in on the Suns? The Lakers are done. They don't care anymore. Anthony Davis is down. Throw that money in Phoenix, baby. Woo! All right, woo. Matt.
Don't forget, DraftKings Sportsbook also offers great odds and promotions on baseball, burpees, hockey, and so much more all week long. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable, so you can deposit and withdraw your funds at your convenience. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code THPN when you sign up to turn $1 into $100 in free credits. Bet on a basketball team of your choice. Mike, who's that?
Phoenix Suns, baby. Woo!
To win their next game, and if they do, you will claim $100 in free credits. That's promo code THPN for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Wager paid out in site credits. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or in Indiana, 1-800-9-WITH-IT. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 52, season 2 of Red Wings Rant, where tirades and impassioned pleas about your Detroit Red Wings now have a home. I think today we're going to be focused on those impassioned pleas because we've got two items that we want to take a peek at. One was a previously recorded conversation with my brother and I, so yes, we're going to do the intro of the show, just myself, but Mike and I are going to go into maybe a debate. We do agree a lot, but when should the Red Wings make a big splash? And, you know, was it something, too, that if we had landed better than the number 6 spot in this draft, would that have put us in the realm of maybe moving up that big splash? And, of course, what does it take for a team to really look like they're playoff-worthy, championship-worthy? And despite the Leafs going out early, I mean, there's some comparisons there, comparisons to what the Lightning have built. And how long is it going to take for the Red Wings to build a team in that direction? How many guys, if we're talking specific amount of forwards, should the Red Wings have in place before they make a big splash? Restricted free agent Elias Pettersson on the market. Do the Red Wings go that route? Sacrifice first-round picks for 4 years to pick a guy like that up? Is he worth it? And on top of that, when is the timing right? So we're going to go over that in just a minute. But as we all know, Matt's working out the schedule as best he can, especially now. Mike actually heading on a bit of a vacation there. So, again, previously recorded conversation will be at the tail end here. But like I've been doing the last little bit, giving you a little scoop of maybe draft hype, roster hype, and like I said, I'm going to be going in the direction of impassioned pleas today instead of tirades, because we're going to take a look at what would be the situation that the Red Wings would trade back. Who's the cat that you'd kind of hope would be available and is going to fall back on the draft lists or the draft boards here. And I'm looking at a guy on Elite Prospects, as I always recommend taking a look at the consolidated rankings as well as McKenzie's rankings. Kind of go hand in hand together. if you want to see where everybody's really standing. You focus on McKenzie because he seems, for one way or another, seems to line up with exactly what the draft order is going to be. I don't necessarily think it's just his opinion. A lot of that is based on he actually speaks to the GMs and gets that opportunity. So, and maybe not just GMs, but people associated with the GMs. He gets pretty good access. So that's where his list comes from. But then what's figured into the Elite Prospects Consolidated list is that list and so many others' opinions in regards to where are you going to find the most skill, and from a position standpoint, are you going to find the best value? So, of course, maybe there's a more talented guy on the list here. But, hey, if you have one of the best goaltenders, and goaltenders are hard to come by, you put them a little bit higher on the list. Kind of thing I'm talking about here with value over just plain old skill. I thought we'd take a look at one guy that I guess I've recently become a huge fan of, would probably be the best way to put it. And we're going to look at Scott Wheeler, who's a friend of the show, been on the show before. Also, just like myself, celebrated a new one coming to the world. So we actually, I feel for his situation because I think I've shared some issues that... let's say my wife and I it hasn't exactly been the most easy transition with a new baby, considering we're fixing up the house. And it sounded like Scott shared on social media he had almost the exact same thing happen. So it was something most often you get to speak to people and you hear about situations they're in, and you struggle because I think we all learned, like, you want to say, I feel you, man. But most of the time you can't. It's just funny that Scott and I appeared to be in the exact same situation. So we shared some advice, and he's a cool guy to catch up with. But getting back to Chaz Lucius here, and where you could find the Scott Wheeler article, of course, on The Athletic. But Chaz is valued at, if I can pull this up here real quick while I'm talking, and I shouldn't say valued. Of course, that's just probably me being distracted by the fact that I need to share this in real time. There it is. His ranking, more accurately, would be number 13. He is coming from the USDP, and the easy stuff here is just to take in 13 games and 20 points. Now, as always, we're not going to have the same sort of analytics to go over every player here that's coming through on the draft. So this is where the Scott Wheeler articles really come into play to kind of give you a more in-depth human touch to everything. But if you want to play, we'll hit hold, we'll hit pause on that for just a second here. Because what you would notice first is that in these 13 games for Chaz Lucius, playing for the U.S. National U18 team, that's 13 games. That's 20 points. 20 of those points are 13 goals. And it's just something, once you start looking at the stats and then playing the what's the narrative behind it, getting the former coach's opinions, and then, of course, seeing what Scott Wheeler has seen, you start to go, oh, that's why there's so many goals on there. So it is something too. Like, you see these kids on the prospect list. One of the things that you want to keep an eye out for that's easy to do is you look for your total points. Clearly, even a point a game for these kids isn't necessarily going to translate. It shouldn't, I should say. And then you need to see like something above and beyond, I think is what we're saying with 2 points per game is where you're really slotting yourself as like, all right, I'm a top 10 guy. Like we just mentioned, 20 points in 13 games, Chaz is right there. But that goal per game stat, that is juicy. That is something too where you see the more goals than assists. Even his teammates and his coach have seen, all right, this cat needs to be put in position to score, and because he's going to put him up. Now, if you go through Elite Prospects here and those consolidated rankings, we'll go ahead and we'll click on Chaz here. Hopefully this doesn't take too long to load up as we're working in real time. Look at that beautiful USA jersey on there. 18-year-old from Minnesota. we've got a 6-foot center. That's right. Not under 6 feet. That's fun to see. 172 pounds. He's he's got some I guess he's got a little more room for some weight, some muscle to be put on those bones. I know I'm well over 172 pounds. But anyway, if we scroll down here, this is also a fun little ditty here. Is the skill rating. The one thing I would have expected to see was a higher number on the skill rating here for shooting accuracy, because we've seen things with like Lucas Raymond. He's up in the 16s and 18s for all of these statistics, especially around speed, teamwork, passing, and shooting. So here we are, shooting accuracy of 14, teamwork of 14. A lot of these don't really need to mean too much to you, but they're solid numbers. There's been guys that Red Wings have drafted in the past, especially in the later rounds. One, there won't even be a skill rating, but two, numbers are much lower than this, around the 10s and things like that. So this is something where this is a solid pickup. But if you want to take that extra step forward, you want to go another step deeper into who Chaz Lucius is. And again, I'm bringing him up because this is that idea, is the way I want to talk about this. Is there anybody in the later picks, mid to late round, and this cat, he could go early based on what we're seeing here and some of the stories going around, especially with Scott Wheeler's article coming out? Are things going to start to change? Is that actually manipulating the thought process for some of these teams? Absolutely could. So he could go up, but it's maybe twofold here, that if we took him at 6, I'm not going to be upset. 6-foot center who can shoot, sign me up. But the other side of this thing is if we're going to trade back and get some more picks, as Yzerman keeps saying, he wants to build this entire team through the draft. That's how you're going to do it. So let's line this up. I mean, this is it. This is the line I wanted to focus on in Scott Wheeler's article, and he shared it himself too on Twitter. This is Billy Hengen, coach from Minnesota, worked with Lucius since he was 10 years old. Again, thanks again, Scott Wheeler, for putting this all together. But this is the line of the century. From Billy Hengen: I think he's God's gift to the earth. No bullshit. No coach speak. His mindset is on another planet. He's not human. I've never seen it. He is the Tom Brady of 17-year-olds, Hengen said. As a coach, you're like, whoa, maybe I should be doing what he's doing. And I mean, this is it, right? Like, you're looking for a center. You're looking for hockey smarts and maturity. And damn it all to hell, if that's not what Hengen's getting at here, I don't know what else he could be talking about. There was no feeling bad for himself, Hengen goes on. It was just, all right, this is what I can control. I'm going to make the best out of my time, and I'm going to make sure that I come back even stronger than when I went out. And the way he approached it is going to really benefit him long-term as well. So again, go back to the maturity. Definitely sounds like a kid who's ready to learn and will accept. You want to throw in humble? God damn. Talk about a guy who is doing fantastically for the U.S. national team with the 13 goals in 13 games. And his coaches can turn around and say, we give him advice. He turns around and says, all right, looks like I got something to fix. Instead of going, man, I'm going to be a top 20 draft pick in the NHL draft. Shut the fuck up. So that's avoided. But yeah, I do highly recommend you guys take a peek at Chaz Lucius. This cat, like I said, we just showed you like the skill ratings, or I guess they're still up there. Not anything that's blowing my socks off, but the story behind this, the fact that he is putting in goals, he's sizable. I'm a fan. I think this is, if we're ranking guys, or I'm putting like I got to put a stamp on here of what he means to me. This is a guy I'll trade back. And I guess you're crossing your fingers. So you want to have more than just Chaz here, but hopefully we can turn this into a series. But trade back, get some extra draft picks, pick him up, let somebody else take the 6th spot, because like we've talked before, the margins look to be razor thin, depending on, once you get past probably the 4th pick. So the Red Wings are outside of that realm. You could probably even include the third and 4th pick in there. Razor thin margins are going to mean we don't know really where anybody, where this draft is going to fall. Go back to answer Khan getting absolutely lunched by Steve Yzerman to see just where Steve Yzerman thinks these rankings are going to fall, or where the draft picks are going to fall. But yeah, check out the last episode where we kind of Sorry, Anzer. We had to make fun of you, but that's where we're sitting with that one. So, long story short, here, very interesting with Chaz. Somebody that I think the narrative is more fun right now to pick apart than what those skill ratings again look like on elite prospects. But if we're trying to figure out what we're going to do here, start the conversation with Chaz. A lot of people are higher on him than they were even a month ago. And, the goal totals are there. That's real. That's something tangible. Maybe we got to figure out if there's more opportunities given to him than other guys. And that's why those goal totals are so high. But by the sound of things, this is for real. This is the real deal based on what his coaches are saying. Grain of salt. You ready for it? You got to take your healthy dose of grain of salt, right? What coach is really going to rail on his guys as he's going into the NHL draft? None of them. But this sounds genuine. This sounds like a guy who doesn't need, he could improvise this real deal answer, and I'm a fan of it. It's not he skates well. He's got the hockey smarts. He's beyond his years. Oh, this guy's throwing expletives in there, so clearly he means it. Anyways, we do have the conversation Mike and I are about to jump into. Again, this is previously recorded from our last live session. You guys can check out our live sessions on YouTube. Please feel free to subscribe. We greatly appreciate it. And we're just going to discuss, when do you make those big splashes? And we're going to put some numbers down for how many forwards we want to see before a big splash is made in the realm of the free agent market, whether it be restricted or unrestricted. So, strap in, enjoy.
You can get kind of easily discouraged, by the way the lottery falls, and it doesn't feel like, for whatever reason, the Red Wings, it's not in the NHL's interest for them to get a high draft pick. So I'm looking at other business models, right? Yzerman's model, it seems to be working, right? We're kind of chugging along. Probably going to be about 4 or 5 years of this, toiling, bottom feeding for a while, just accumulating picks, and then getting all these, number 6s for the next 10 years, and then kind of moving your way up. It brings me to a question, Matt, something that a phenomenon that's going on in the NBA where teams are just giving up on, quote, future assets, and they're not giving up one pick or 2 picks for stars. They're giving up 3, 4, 5 picks, Matt, for players like players you've even heard of, like James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Paul George, Matt, even a guy like Drew Holiday, who, I tell you what, we talked about like Nick Jensen, defenseman, who, he's not on the sexy stat sheet at all. He's an analytics guy. That's Drew Holiday, just a fantastic defensive player. But he also was his value was multiple first-round picks. Matt, obviously hockey is a different animal due to the size of the roster. And obviously even the best players, best case scenario, are playing 33% of the game. So 66% of the game, not even on the ice. But we know one line can have a major impact. So Matt, tonight being another example where, again, you can't count on winning the lottery. And it's okay, maybe this year wasn't, the Stützle year. But when do you consider cutting your losses on drafting number 6 again and again, and you pursue that known superstar commodity? I'm talking about your boy, is it Pettersson out in Vancouver, restricted free agent?
Yeah, Elias Pettersson.
Line, he's going to be a restricted free agent. We got Andrei Svechnikov. It's just a couple of names, and it's not anything new. Every year there's a couple guys like this. Matt, when would you think about going all in an NBA style move?
Not for Line. I think that's something.
He's a more well-known name. I'd say the other 2 guys are, more attractive acquisitions, but yeah.
I think it definitely depends on how many different opportunities you have at once. Like we talked about, and we workshopped a situation where we were getting a good draft pick this year, and then picking up Pettersson as a restricted free agent and dropping our next 4 first-round picks. And you're really overpaying Pettersson at that point because you want to get him outside of Vancouver's range. And then you've got to lock up. You have to lock up Dougie Hamilton because you don't want to start wasting years of Pettersson. And then at that point, you've seen enough of Lucas Raymond and Moritz Seider that you think if it's not this year, the next year, you're going to be able to roll a couple of lines, right? So what stinks is that I'm basically painting the picture that you want to get set up to be competitive with the Toronto Maple Leafs with their two top lines. Like that's when you're really unloading the cash. Like think about John Tavares for the Maple Leafs, and I'm picking the Maple Leafs because they lost, but you know what? That like.
If you were playing in the video game, that's how you'd build your team.
No, you'd pick the Maple Leafs, right? If you wanted to win in the video game, you'd pick the Maple Leafs. They just clearly don't know what they're doing with the bottom six, which if you looked at the Red Wings roster, we have 12 guys that could fit in the bottom six. No problem. I kid. I jest. But you know what I'm saying. I think the trust in the track record that Yzerman has, that we know what he'd get us for a bottom six because we could see it in the Tampa Bay Lightning, at least some of the pieces that are still sticking around. So I think those pieces are super replaceable. So you don't need to focus on that at all. It's all about what you can put together at one time for the top six. And like in our last episode, I talked about Jonathan Berggren, right? And I painted a picture where he was going to be playing with Joe Veleno and Adam Ernie. And this was basically me saying Berggren's a playmaker along with Joe Veleno, who's shown incredible skill already from a two-way perspective, even at his age, his experience level, and a center. And then you throw in, Adam, retire 73, Ernie, who can't be stopped. Just keep throwing out the nicknames. That's something to me I was putting together because I saw opportunities for a first line where I'm not sure the center it could be a second line, but a first line mix of Zadina and Jakub Vrana. And we saw Fabry had some success. You could throw him in there, or you could throw in Larkin, and then you're just mixing in something with some for who's ever left over. You've got Bertuzzi, and maybe you bring in another guy that could fill out that line. And they're right there. I guess that's where it is you have Elias Pettersson, and then you're hoping Lucas Raymond can round out that second line, and then boom, right underneath that you have a guy like Jonathan Berggren who showed a ton of promise in the SHL. You're throwing him on the third line. So I think what you want is a year before you made an Elias Pettersson move. You wanted a year to see what Berggren could do so that you could fill out this roster where you were putting Berggren on the third line. You don't want to put him in this position where if he starts showing promise in this season, you're like, well, what is he doing on the third line? He's clearly one of our best players. Put him on the first line. Like I'm saying you want to have an unquestioned first line kind of situation, unquestioned top six situation before you're making those moves. And when I say that, I think maybe I want four or five of those top six before you start going all in on that, because they should not be your first piece when you're going in on that. And
I think that's the ideal situation. I think that's an ideal situation. The tough part is right now, Red Wing draft picks are at a premium because you know that there's still a toilet team. You're going to get good value for it. So for Yzerman, it's kind of like he's got to juggle. Where do I find that line where I know we're a couple players away and suddenly these draft picks are just going to be trash because they're going to be, at the end of the first round instead of, potentially the first, second, or third pick.
And I think with that, getting those four out of your top six too, like a lot of that is going to be taking a chance. Like I'm saying that situation for Steve Yzerman is him saying, I think Lucas Raymond can fill out this top six. I think if you're playing too slow of a game, then you're going to miss opportunities. the argument I'm making is that we end up this season, we pass on the Pettersson opportunity, right? But for going forward, if we get to see Lucas a little bit more, or it doesn't have to be Lucas Raymond. That's the thing. I'm putting that name out there. I'm just saying, if there is a guy who's showing some promise, I think once you put in that superstar, you're hoping that you're going to move forward with somebody else. And if you just keep waiting to see the promise before you start putting in, clicking in the right pieces, that's when this timeline is going to get all mixed up, and you're going to have guys that are getting paid at different times, and eventually this roster is just going to become a mess. Where I think if you're playing 3D chess, you've got to trust. You've got to trust that your scouts did the right thing. You've got to trust that what you're seeing growth-wise from Seider and Raymond is the real thing. There's got to be something you're looking for that you can put your finger on and say, this is legit, or it's maybe not legit or worth taking a chance on. And then you go ahead and do the big splash. Then you bring over what you need to bring over to make it playoff contending team. And of course, as we've seen Steve Yzerman do, he had a playoff contender for years in Tampa, and that's when he was sort of tweaking, getting rid of some star players, getting rid of, you talk about middle six guys, so guys that are going to be a great fit for almost any team, but Yzerman's moving those guys, moving his top four defensemen, and sliding in, what ended up being the Stanley Cup champion last year that his name doesn't get to be a part of, but clearly he made a huge difference in. But I think that's kind of how you want to get this all to shake out. And as you move forward, guys are going to start to come out as like, all right, this is I don't know how I want to put this. This is my superstar for the long haul. These are the guys that are getting my Nikita Kucherov contracts. And you want to be in those situations where it doesn't hurt you at all. You're not worried about the contract, the next season. You don't want to do anything silly like Bobrovsky down in Florida. And that's things I think anybody that's listening, we all know we can trust Yzerman not to make those silly decisions. But yeah, 18-minute answer short. Look for 4 of your top 6 forwards before you start making huge splashes.
I thought you were just going to say the word patience, but here we are. Matt, did you have any? I know again this is just ping pong balls, and we don't know really how this is going to pan out. But did you have any other points for tonight's show?
I mean, just to put out another point for patience, if I had to say how many guys we have right now that we can, with ink write in for, one of our 4 guys of the top 6 that I'm looking for before we make a big splash, I'm probably only ready to write in one name right now. And he's only been on the team for like 13 games. And even then, I think I'm going to have erasable ink, because he could be gone at any moment. I still think there's a trade piece there. But it's Jakub Vrana. He's the only guy I feel really good about slotting into that top 6 of the 4 guys I'm looking for. You could make the argument based. It's going to be weird that for Larkin, but
he might play 0 games with Bertuzzi. It's kind of weird. I could see one of those guys getting moved, and they never actually get to lace them up together.
I'll go back to what we rank those guys and their potential for coming back. I still think there's a lot of potential for Tuesday coming back. I'm
not against it. I just, kind of feels like one of those guys they might give a reset to, like Mantha.
Did I say Vrana? Did I screw up?
Oh, I thought you'd said Vrana. Yeah.
Okay. That's what
I think. North Moto was. I think he was agreeing. Yeah, okay. With Vrana. Yeah.
Jakob Kindle. All right.
Yeah.
Mike, we have. I think I could split this into 2 episodes for the podcast at least.
Right.
Yeah. Let's sail off. I think I'll save. We've got plenty of time before the draft, so we can go through the likes of Luke Hughes, William Eklund. We can take a deeper dive. Simon Edmondson. Kent Johnson, the guys that I think, Dylan Gunther, the guys that I think will be available in that spot. And of course, I think we've already made a play at Dylan Gunther. We've already had an episode that revolved around us taking him. But the more that we talk about
we're
wanting
get
him,
stuck with Eklund.
I wouldn't say stuck.
I know, but he's the only guy under 6 foot. It's gonna happen. I know it. If you look at the top 10 prospects, they're all like 6'1" and above. I know we're gonna get Eklund.
I want Steve here right now so he can go. Oh yeah, well who's
else you got?
First 5?
I just want to see him rocking around in his rocking chair over there. That's what I want.
You give him your pick. I want Dylan Gunther.
Interesting.
We'll
what else you got? Hey, North Moto throwing a dirty Bert is coming back.
All right, I got Drapes back here. He knows. He drafted his son. He knows what's up.
Hold me back, Drapes.
Scouting director.
Hold me back. We got North Moto, by the way. Did say Dirty Bird coming back. Again, not against it. I could just kind of smells like one of those. Let's do a reset for this guy.
I feel like he's going to be that guy if we are a playoff contender, and I think I was sold on this idea from our blogger Jesse. But he seems like the guy that would be our huge playoff performer, Bert. Like he'd get in there and be the 4 goals in the first round to get us through, and then we as a team come together and get through that second round, and then we get to the conference finals, and Bert's got to come through again, and we're all we're one win away from the Stanley Cup, and everybody's going, well, Shade Wright's gonna win the MVP, but it should probably be Tyler Bertuzzi. Like that. So, I'm really painting a pretty picture for our future. But hey, somebody's got to do it. All right, everybody, we're going to sign off. I'm going to see if I can split this into 2 episodes. And then, hey, big announcement. I will be interviewing with. I'll be having a conversation with Ken Cal next week because we're going to be doing a series with the Hockey Podcast Network about by the decade, even though I'm cheating a little bit, on dynasties in the NHL. So, of course, we'll be talking late 90s, early 2000s with the Red Wings. And
now we're just part of a dynasty.
Sorry.
We're a
great way to end the show.
Yeah,
all right, everybody, check out bodpodcast.com, brothersofdiscussion.com. Support the show by clicking the shop button on the homepage. Find us on Twitter at BOD Hockey, on Instagram, brothers_of_discussion. And if you are watching us on YouTube, we would greatly appreciate the subscribe. And for everyone that's watched these last couple of weeks, well, I've just been throwing together ideas and talking at myself for 7 minutes. Thank you so much for subscribing and following along. It was fun and terrifying, and I enjoyed it. And I hope you guys enjoyed us getting back into the grind. All right, everybody. Yeah. Thank you.
What was that? You riding a horse? Hey, you drive a sedan. Get out of here. All right, let's get out.